Welcome. Thank you. Welcome to our May Food Security Community Call. It is 1:01, so we are just going to keep going. We have a lot of great things on the agenda today, so want to make sure we have time to move through all of that. Just wanted to share two quick Food Council announcements. So first of all, the Food Council is seeking an AmeriCorps Vista program volunteer. And we will share information about that in the chat, the link to the position description for that. As many of you know, we've benefited from many Vistas supporting us in the past. Beta was a Vista with us last year. Janae has been our Vista this year. Elizabeth started here as a Vista, so lots of great history with that program. If you know any folks that might be interested in doing a service year, please send them our way. And then I did also want to share that the next SNAP working group call is going to be discussing the 2026 Sunbucks rollout. So if that call is of interest to you, we will be sharing information in the chat about that as well. Both the link, or you can reach out to Allison on our team to connect and get more information on that. Either way, we will share rollout materials with the community. But if you would like to be part of a bigger conversation on that, that is the space for you. We are going to get started with our presentations now. Our first presenter is from the Montgomery County Volunteer Center. And I did just want to stress, again, I'll be sharing this information out with OFSR grantees. You've probably seen it already. You'll be getting it again. But this presentation is actually going to serve somewhat as a prerequisite, if you will, for a fuller training with the Montgomery County Volunteer Center that we are hosting for OFSR grantees. So if you're a community food assistance grantee, a food recovery network, school-based, this is all for you. And that's going to take place on Thursday, May 28th from 1 to 3 in Germantown. We will share again more of that information. But I am going to welcome and turn things over to Rosalind Houston from the Montgomery County Volunteer Center to get us kicked off today.
All right, thank you so much, Anne Marie. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, and
All
I
right, so
am
I'm one
making
of
you
the
a
two.
co-host now so you can
Oh,
share your
perfect.
screen.
I'm one of the two senior fellows at the Montgomery County Volunteer Center, and so my responsibilities include training. I've developed and deliver some volunteer engagement training, and also providing assistance and technical support on our online platform. So what I am going to do is a demonstration of how to create account and then how to manage your account and post volunteer opportunities. So let me share my screen. Share. Just a second. Okay, I see it. Share. Oh, get the admit out of the way. All right, let's see. So we're gonna go to this screen. All right, we're gonna go to screen 2. Give me a moment, all right, so I'm gonna assume now that everyone is able to view. Yes, sorry, my computer's doing lots of weird things this morning, of course. That's always the case when you're trying to do something. So let's see. Did I share? I thought I
Yep.
had shared. Yes. Okay. So what you're seeing is the homepage for the Montgomery County Volunteer Center. And you can get through this page 3 ways. You can just Google Montgomery County Volunteer Center, search for that. The easiest URL to remember is Montgomery Serves .org, and that will point to this website, or of course you see the longer URL there. So our website recently underwent several changes, so just and it will continue to change a little bit because IT redesigned all of the Montgomery County websites to sort of follow the same template. But in any case, just want to point out on the home screen what's important. If you have not yet created an account, then you'll select the blue rectangle in the middle, and that will take you to the registration page. Again, my computer is being super slow and I don't know why, and I apologize for that. Um, there you go. And so you'll need to provide this information, the required information, and then you'll need to verify the email that you used to sign up, and then you'll have an account. So once you've done that, when you come to our home page, you can go to the login page. And again, and if you've saved your login credentials in your password manager, you can just go in here and select it. And this will sign you in. Mine's probably going to give me a little bit of a message, but I am nevertheless in here. I don't know why it always does that to me. I need to figure that out. But it makes me sign in twice. That should not be the case for you. All right. Okay. So something very important. So once you've created an individual account, then you can create your organization's account. You cannot create an account for an organization without creating your own individual account. And the reason for that is that the way that you access your organization's account is that when you log into your individual account, you will see My Organization at the top. Now, you have to be an organization manager in order to see that, but I will show you that on the profile. So you're going to go to My Organization. And so in my case, it's going to take me to the Montgomery County Volunteer Center's account. All right. A couple of things I do want to point out. One of which is one of which is that Galaxy Digital, which is the organization that provides this platform, has lots and lots of online resources to assist you in not just the mechanics of the platform, the technical part, but in terms of content. So I do encourage you to pay attention to this if you're looking for how to promote your volunteer opportunities, as well as any other questions you might have. They are available through this organization manager's toolbox. All right, so then you come down to your account. So Volunteer Link is something that Galaxy has recently rolled out, and it's a way to connect businesses, corporations that have footprint in multiple cities, multiple states with volunteer opportunities. So if a corporate wants to have a team go out and do some volunteer work, then the volunteer opportunities from our site will automatically populate the pool of opportunities that the corporations see. The default is that you're automatically connected to that, and automatically all of your opportunities will go into that pool that reaches corporate volunteers. However, if you don't want, for whatever reasons, to have corporate volunteers, you can toggle those off. Um, what we do encourage you to do in looking at the court profile is to look at it with this in mind. There are right now over 2,100 different organizations in our database. And so think of it as if you are trying to compete with those other 20,099 organizations for volunteers. So you really want to do all that you can to make your profile stand out, starting with including your logo, any photos of volunteers in action, and then just completing all of the required information. Only the one with the star is required information, and ensure that your EIN is correct. We do verify every account that's created by their EIN to ensure that they are a tax-exempt organization, so that's very critical. As far as telling your story, so your volunteer recruitment really starts with this page when you're talking about who we are. And this is where we encourage you to talk about your mission, your vision, who you serve, and maybe the impact that you've had in the community that you're serving. And then what volunteers do on this page, which is just your general account page, then we ask that you just describe in general the types of activities that you might have volunteers engaged in, because you're going to then post individual volunteer opportunities that will describe in more detail what your need is. For organizations that go through the process of becoming approved to award SSL hours for students in Montgomery County Public Schools, they will get this icon, this logo added to their account. And that means that they don't have to pay, they don't have to, if you are an SSL approved organization, you do not have to post your opportunities on the page. You can, however, your opportunities will automatically be approved for SSL, with the exception of any that are remote or virtual. Those need to be posted so that they can be reviewed. All right, so I was talking about this when I said you log into your individual account to reach the organization account. So up to 12 people within the organization can be designated in the organization's account as organization managers. Now, that has nothing to do with what their role is within the organization. It just means that you have permissions to edit the profile, add, delete, manage the volunteer opportunities. So you have access to the back end of your profile. And so typically the person who's created the account will be the primary organization manager, and they'll be indicated by a star, the star being filled in next to them. Now, this person is the only person within the organization who has permissions to add or remove other organization managers that you see here. So what happens if you have turnover in your organization and that person leaves without you designating someone else, you'll need to reach out to us to have someone designated. So if you'd like to add additional organization managers once you have created an account, then each person who is added has to also first create their individual account, and then you can add them by typing in their email that's associated with the individual account. And then if you expand the additional options, then it'll provide you places to fill in additional information. It's not required, but in most cases, the more information you have, the better. And that information is what appears on the outward facing side of our website and shows to potential volunteers. Okay. And then whenever you make any changes, we just ask you to update additional information because it will not automatically save. So now if we go back up to the top, so this is where you were able to edit your organization's profile. If you just scroll over to the third tab, that's where your opportunities are. And so we're going to go down here. Right now, we only have one opportunity that's active. So I'm going to show you how to manage this. Now, if you want to, actually, I'll start here. If you want to add a new opportunity. No, actually, let me go back to the existing one because I think it'll be a little bit better. All right, I'll go here. So you start with the title, and again, keeping in mind that you're competing with other organizations and other volunteer opportunities, we encourage you to come up with a title that's going to grab the attention of potential volunteers. So right now, I think there are about 1,700 active volunteer opportunities. So you will yours to stand out. And I'll show you ours, how it doesn't quite meet that criteria in my opinion. And then here you want to provide a description and try to be as descriptive as possible. Provide as much information as you can in order to really allow potential volunteers to be able to visualize themselves engaged in the volunteer opportunity. And another reason that is important is that we have the students from Montgomery County Public Schools who also are looking for volunteer opportunities to earn their SSL hours. And because MCPS is an inclusive a school district, you may have students with special needs and they still have this requirement. And so you want to make sure that there's enough information that they can say, yeah, I can do this, or no, this isn't right for me and I need to find another volunteer opportunity. Again, you have the option of adding images, which you encourage you to do. Interests and abilities. By selecting these are the filters that potential volunteers use when they're searching for opportunities. So whatever is appropriate for this opportunity that you're creating, you want to select. Skip over qualifications. I'm not going to explain why, but it just creates a bottleneck. But there's other places where you could put that information. Um, we do encourage you to select or designate a site supervisor or contact person for two reasons. If you've ever applied for a job, now, when people do respond to the volunteer opportunity, they automatically get a notification that says that they have responded. So they know that it's been sent, their response has been sent. However, they may have questions that come up. And so, you know how it is when you apply for a job and like it's a black hole and you don't know what's going on, right? So it helps to prevent that fall off from people signing up to volunteer with you. And then between the time that they are to show up, they may lose interest if they didn't get their questions answered, they couldn't reach anybody. And also having a site supervisor, they know who to look for when they show up to volunteer. The duration, this is important for, again, for SSL opportunities, and you have multiple ways that you can specify the duration. I'm not going to go into all of them here, but just know you can ask us, or that's also in the organization manager's toolbox, the definitions of those. The hours and the hours description are important if you are going to use student volunteers. And so whatever you put in here in terms of the number of hours, say you put 4 hours, then the description here should match. So if you say 4 hours, it should say, let's say 8 a.m. to 12 noon. This field also, you could write something like varies if it's an adult opportunity, because that's not as important, okay? If this is virtual opportunities, select that. If you want to have groups, you can also open your opportunity up for group registration. And then if you have a limit on how many volunteers you can accept, that's the capacity. And then this address is the location of where the volunteers will show up. And then we want you to look in promotions and sharing. So the default on this is public. If your opportunity is designated as public, that means one, it'll appear on our website in search results. And also, we encourage you, each opportunity has attached to it a specific URL. So we think our website is just one step in the volunteer recruitment process. So you can copy the URL that's generated for your opportunity and post it on your website, social media, other places you might want to recruit volunteers. If you designate this opportunity as private, then it means that it won't appear on our website. And in some cases, this may be appropriate. You may just want to reach a very specific group of people that you want to volunteer with you. Say you're working with a student club and you want the students from that particular club, or actually there's some student nonprofits that work in the area of food insecurity. You might just want to recruit them for this opportunity. You can make it private and then share it wherever. Very, very, very important. This last little section, the default is that it is not expanded, but it's additional opportunities. Please, please, please always include your minimum age in your opportunity. And the reason for that, if they are under 18, then those go to the SSL staff for the Montgomery County Public Schools to review them and make sure that they comply with all their requirements. If it's 18 or above, it goes to the Volunteer Center for review. If you put in, just FYI, if you put in a minimum age, then it will automatically prompt you to put in 120 for the maximum age, unless you have a a lesser one. We're still waiting to find that volunteer at 120 to award him or her a lifetime volunteer award. And then all of these other things are sort of optional. I would say I talked about not including qualifications. So things that you might consider adding as qualifications. For example, you might want somebody to be bilingual, right? You can type that in here and then you can add. So anything you want to add, there's no drop down menu, you can add there. Okay, clusters is important because it helps you designate who you want. So if there, let's say you want 50 plus volunteers, you want older volunteers, experienced volunteers, you can choose that cluster. Let's say you might also want corporate business. You're wanting anybody, but also you want people who are interested just in a short-term commitment, whatever. You can choose multiple clusters. And again, these are align with the filters that potential volunteers see when they come to our site. Um, Comments do not appear outwardly. We use those for internal purposes. So we ask you to leave that blank. And then if you have a waiver, you can also include the waiver there in the volunteer opportunity. And that allows you to create the opportunity. Of course, I didn't put anything in here, so it's going to do that to me. Let's see, what else can I share with you? The only other thing, so once you've created opportunities, they'll appear in this list here, and you have the option to go back and edit it. You can select here and you'll see all of the responses. Um, and you can use this page also to respond to potential volunteers. You see here it says message responders. So if you wanted to respond to all of them, or maybe there's just particular ones, you can do that from here. You can also then export a spreadsheet that contains all the names, email addresses of all the respondents, and you can also use that to generate a roster for signing in at the volunteer opportunity, sending an email if you want the volunteers to be able to communicate with you by responding to the email you send. And then this is just so you can view it and see how it looks externally. If you find out there's somebody who's interested and maybe they haven't gone in to sign up, you can do that here. And then here is where I said, these are all of your volunteer opportunities. So again, if that's something you want to add to your website, that'll be all of your volunteer opportunities. And then each individual opportunity will have its own URL. The last thing I wanted to show was cloning opportunities. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. I think because this is a private one, it's not cloning, but there is an option to clone. Oh, here it is. So if I looked at an inactive one, say it's an opportunity that I use a lot. Let me go with this one. Then you can clone the opportunity. And that means you're just going to create a copy of it and you can update the information. So you're not having to go create a new opportunity each time. The last thing I just want to point out is that in your individual account, if you are someone who's managing, posting volunteer opportunities, responding to potential volunteers, ensure that your notifications are on to receive any notifications generated by the platform. So if you go over to your initials up in the upper right corner and go to edit profile, then, and yeah, it's slow. And you scroll down to data and communication settings where it says email preferences. In the box, you can click on that and it says manage my preferences. So all the way down under organization related notifications, you want to have that on and then click on all of those so that you can be notified when you have any communication from your volunteers or anything happens with your opportunities that are posted. So before I close out of this and stop sharing, does anybody have questions that I need to leave this up for? I know I went through it very quickly. I do have slides that go through it as well, and I'm always available. If you need help, email me directly. No questions? All right, thank you.
I had seen one question in the chat, but it looked like that got answered. Um,
Okay.
but Rosalind, could you just share, so you mentioned notifications. So what would someone expect to see in their inbox if someone responded to, a volunteer opportunity with their organization?
That's a great question. I'm going to show you. So in this system, you'll be designated as an agency manager. So I'm looking at, and I'm kind of going way back into the manager view of this, but I'm going to filter out all the ones for agency managers, and it's gonna, um, oops, here. Okay, so these are the messages that you would get as an agency manager if you have your notifications on. Uh, when your organization is activated, because there's an approval process, so that'll if your profile is incomplete with some information, um, we don't really use this one yet. If it's denied, if you've submitted a volunteer opportunity, what we'll do is email. Usually there's some missing information. Instead of denying it, we'll email you and say, oh, we need the minimum age, blah, blah, blah. So if you've asked for an application, then and the person's filled out your application, then that you'll receive 7 days before your opportunity date. If a volunteer registers, if a volunteer unregisters, if the registration closes. So all of these, and I can send you a list of these, but all of these are kind of what would happen. Some of them relate to events if you're posting events. But yeah, pretty much anything having to do with either the main account or the volunteer opportunity, you'll be notified about. Lorianne, you have a question?
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much for this valuable information. I just wondered, just in terms of like long-term volunteer management, is there a way to sort of view, I don't know, maybe this was the next part of your presentation. Sorry if it was, but is there a way to view like sort of everyone who's ever responded to the volunteer notification or even people who've viewed but not responded or anything or?
That's a good question. So you can see the number of people who have viewed, and that's something we'll dive into in part two. But you can also benchmark it against sort of the average views for all organizations, and that helps you to say, okay, my site overall and my opportunities are doing better or average or worse than others. I don't think it captures all of just the people that viewed, but you will have in your site the names of any volunteers who have ever responded to your opportunities. That will kind of be archived there. I did want to point out, let me go back. Now, what we will talk about also in part two is getting your volunteers to become fans of your organization. So let me just go to all organizations. So let me just go to, I'm going to go here to all organizations. And I'm going to just actually, let's see, Food Council. How about if I choose the Food Council? Name. Let me see if it'll come up if I just type.
I don't think that,
You guys
Lorian,
have,
have we set up our profile yet? Oh yeah, there we
there you
Yes,
are.
are.
I
Okay,
do have
so
a.
you see here that I could click this. I'm going to click this and I'm going to become a fan. Okay, and so what happens is now that I'm a fan, anytime you post volunteer opportunities, those will automatically come to me. And so that's something you can do is encourage any volunteers to fan your organization so that they will know when you post new volunteer opportunities so that you can sort of cultivate those long-term relationships to keep them engaged. Thank you for that question. That was a great question. Any other questions? All right. If
Someone did just ask in the chat that if you have a outdated membership, where would you start?
an outdated membership, meaning with the volunteer center.
Yes.
Okay. So if you have an account already, you can reset your password. So if you go to log in and you I don't know, you've forgotten your password, you can reset it. Now, the individual accounts are not that big of a deal. You can even create another individual account if you don't even know what email address is associated with. Now, what we do discourage is creating multiple organization accounts. So what we encourage you to do, if say you know your organization has an account, but you haven't done anything with it for years, you can always search here by name, right, to make sure that it's still in there. And then contact us if there's no longer the primary organization manager in there to get you connected to it. And I ask you to email me directly. You can also do volunteers at Montgomery County, but that it's easier if you just directly get to me, or it's quicker. And then I can connect you with the existing account and you can update it or do whatever else you need to do to it. All right. Anything else before I get out in the chat? I see lots going on in the chat. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. And I am so happy that I have had the opportunity to be here and share with you kind of about what the Volunteer Center has to offer to help you in your volunteer recruiting efforts.
Yeah, and like I said, I did want to again promote that Roslyn, like I said, for all of you that are OFSR grantees, Roslyn is going to be providing a training that is, this is the more technical aspect. How do you get your opportunities loaded into the volunteer center site? But Roslyn is going to share her expertise at the training about how do you even get a volunteer program off the ground. What are the ways that you identify the types of volunteers you need, how you can recruit them. So we're really looking forward to that training at a later date. Is there anyone, I know that a number of you on the call use the volunteer center, have used it in the past. Is there anyone willing to just kind of share a little about their experience, just for folks who may not have engaged in this before? Happy to hear from anyone in our community that has had success with using the volunteer site.
I could go on. We
Yeah,
did,
please. Hi, Malak.
yes, hi. So we did receive students actually from Montgomery County Public Schools. They use the info, and they communicate with us. Hey, I want to come volunteer at your food pantry, and yes, so this site actually work. And thank you so much, Rosen. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Rosalind, did you just want to share quickly? I know you glossed over it in your presentation, but just for folks who may not be familiar with the MCPS portion of the program and connecting to SSL hours.
Yes. So for organizations that want to be approved to grant SSL hours so that every opportunity doesn't have to go through that approval process. The starting point is getting registered in our website and on our platform. And then once a month, we conduct an SSL orientation in partnership with the SSL coordinator for Montgomery County public schools. And so she goes over through all of the requirements to be approved as an SSL organization, all of the paperwork. There are some documents that she collects. And then after she receives all the documents, signed documents from you, and you've attended at least one person from your organization has attended, then you're approved to do that. The big thing with SSL is that there has to be like adult supervision other than the parents of the volunteer. And so there are some things that the students can't do, like they can't drive and deliver things, for example, or work in anything other than a public space. Like they can't work in somebody else's home. It has to be some public space with adult supervision. So most of the requirements around it are related to the safety of the students, but also putting it in the context of having the students learn what they're doing. So they're not just showing up and volunteering. It's kind of showing them how volunteerism fits into community service, improving the community, et cetera.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, again, Rosalind, thank you so much, and look forward to hearing more, about volunteer recruitment later in the month. Please, if folks have any additional questions, feel free to send them in the chat or to send them to me after, and we can get them over to Rosalind. But thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
We're going to turn things over now to another volunteer opportunity that food assistance providers can consider taking advantage of. And so welcome to Kathy Nestoriak from the Jewish Council for the Aging of Greater Washington to share about their program.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me just pull up my slides. Um, if it lets me pull up my slides. Why is it not letting me pull up my slides? Oh, wait. Can you see them? I don't think it's letting me pull up my slides.
I don't see anything. If there's a challenge, Beta can go ahead and grab your slides and start sharing, but I do have you as a
Let me try it again.
co-host, so it should
Let me just try
allow.
this again.
Mhm.
It's not window. Oh, maybe this is it. Entire screen. Let's try this. User error, user error.
Oh no.
It's being a little twitchy today. I do not know why. And it could be me.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Beta, do you wanna? Oh, there we go. Beta's gotcha.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so my name is Kathy Nestoriak, and I am the director of the Jewish Council for the Aging Senior Community Service Employment Program for another 2 days. So I will explain that at the end. But we run the Senior Community Service Employment Program. So we work with adults who are 55 and older who, can I do the next slide? Um, who are, we work with on the job trainings, and we provide a minimum wage training stipend, and we use that term very intentionally, to pay individuals to learn on the job training, and they can work in Montgomery County or Frederick County, although senior CSEP is across the country. Next slide, please. So to be a job seeker, a CSEP job seeker, you must be 55 or older, a resident of Montgomery County or Frederick County, unemployed and actively seeking employment. And you also have to be able to meet the CSEP eligibility, income eligibility criteria. And next slide. And what CSEP provides is on the job training for local nonprofits and government agencies. We build training skills. It's a great chance to network, to go out and meet. So, it's easier to find a job while you have a job. Again, we pay a minimum wage stipend of $16 an hour because, again, some people just can't work unless they receive money to go do it, especially right now with gas the way it is. It's expensive to go work, and it's expensive to get to training. They work at least 20 hours a week. They have to be able to commit to 20 hours a week. And it is also makes the SNAP program and federal housing programs are exempt from these wages. So these do not count towards SNAP or federal housing programs. So next slide. So what does that mean for a host agency? So what this means for a host agency, and I'm just going to go off script a little bit here, is you get an employee light. So this is a step up from a volunteer because you have an assigned job seeker on your staff. So you have that person who's dedicated 20 hours a week. So to be a host agency, you do need to be a 501c3 or a government agency. And I actually do have some host agencies on this call. I was checking the participants. You do need to be able to provide some supervision. Time, you need to be able to sign off on their timesheets to verify hours and provide occasional training. Just again, as you would any employee or volunteer, we don't sit volunteers down and just say, have at it. Um, and provide 20 hours weekly of consistent work. And again, some of the things that you might want them to do is receptionist, administrative, warehouse, data entry, activities, etc. Next slide, I think. Oh, no, we'll go back to the other slide. So, what would be like the ideal type jobs for this? Again, things that you don't normally that are employee light. So, front desks is really popular. Answering the phone, data entry, warehouse, things that are kind of those entry level skills or that your volunteers do, but you need more consistency. We ask that this not go from a paid assignment to a CSEP assignment. And we will work with you on the various assignments. Just like the volunteer center, kind of the SSL, we do ask that there is some supervision because these are job seekers. We want them to be learning. And if they don't have supervision, they don't have that learning opportunity. And we would prefer that they not be working in somebody's home because the government gets a little twitchy about sending federal funds for somebody to be working on site in somebody's house. They do like their brick and mortar. Um, and we would also prefer that just like the SSLs, that they not be asked to drive because again, while we pay $16 an hour, drive isn't as expensive. And most of these folks are on limit fixed incomes. Um, but we are open to other avenues, again, explore some. We have folks that can go from very basic tasks. They may have some languages challenges, so they may just work in a warehouse. They may be really all they can do is sort clothes, pack bags. But you know what, we have found that those are your most loyal, consistent, reliable workers. And we have folks that go all the way up to office managers, especially right now, because the economics have hit especially older workers really hard. And folks that have, especially older workers, have been hit hard because jobs have changed and they may have done the same job for 40 years and their job is gone and they didn't have that opportunity to retool. All of a sudden, their job changed. They don't have the money to transition or they don't know how to transition and they find themselves unemployed. Also, sometimes you see, they have a health illness or they come out for a caretaker and coming back into the job market when you're older, especially with the way technology changes these days, you can find that a year or two out can really put you behind the eight ball. So this just really bridges the gap. It gets you back, it gets them back out there. It helps them build the confidence. It helps them use the new technology. We do provide computer training. We could provide computer training both for CSEPers and for anybody who's on the wait list for CSEPer, on the wait list for CSEP, or just somebody who just needs some computer training. But you have to be over 55 years old. And so we really do work to get our olders back to work. But it is a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity if you are a host agency. Now, again, you do have to be a 501c3. We will ask for that, or a government agency. It's a simple process. You just sign a host agency agreement. You would talk about the job with Elaine Looney, and I'll give you her contact information. Again, if you're on the call, I know you can vouch for Elaine. She is a firecracker of energy. And we do talk a little bit about safety and the roles, but it really is a win-win because you're helping somebody re-enter the workforce, build their network, develop those resume skills, but you're also getting somebody who has 30, 40 years of work behind them. And that's the beauty of this program is it helps them just maybe transition, get back, get a little confidence when life maybe has caused this gap in their employment. So it is a beautiful program. And if you're a job seeker out there, this is a great way to get back to work, especially if you've been unemployed for a year or two, or you're on Social Security and you're really having trouble making that meet. Reach out to us because this is really an opportunity to help you connect to jobs and build those jobs because in this day and age, as you've heard, 400 people could apply to the same job and they may not even get a chance to look at your resume. So this is a chance to get you into those positions, to get you networking and meeting those people and get it before that job opens up. So hopefully we can get you out there and working, but we work all over the county in a variety of different organizations. At JCA, we have a job seeker who processes our payroll, the initial payroll intake, and does some other things for CSEP. We have activity aid in our Kensington Club. We have had some CSEPers working at some of the programs we have who are in spaces at JCA. It really is a great opportunity. Now, again, just bear in mind, it is $16 an hour. So we might not be able to provide you with as someone who's like IT or marketing. Um, but we can get you those really great base skills that you need. I just saw the question pop up. Now, CSEP is a 4-year program. It is a 48-month program. So if you come in, you have that program for 4 years. Once you're done, if you're a job seeker, once you're done, you're done. And it's a national program. So you have those 4 years. If you are on site at a host agency, ideally, we would, till you get hired, um, or till you learn everything. So if it's a host agency where there's a lot of growth and a lot of change, you may be there for a long time growing and learning with that host agency. Or however your skills are evolving, if we work to get you a lot of training. So that could depend. But you could be at a host agency for a year, year and a half. You could be at a host agency for the entire time. Um, we each job seeker and to a certain extent the host agency, we work on your IEP, an individual employment plan. So we try to match the host agency job with the goals and skills of that participant. So it is a little bit of an employment puzzle because we really want to make sure we're getting the right person to that slot. As long as those are working together, we will keep that participant there. But if the participant outgrows the role or the role changes, um, then we will readjust. We may assign a different participant there, or or the role may have evolved because that participant has new skills and you may want to upgrade to a different position or what you need has changed. So it is so different. We have right now 33 people. We're building back up to 41. So I can tell you there's 41 different stories. There's 41 different paths. There's 41 different looks to this program, but it is a fabulous program because it really meets the individual job seeker where they are. And to an extent, it meets the host agency where they are too. Are there, and I did want to just do a little shout out to JCA because we also have the Career Gateway for the professional job seeker and the 50 Plus Expo. So as a host agency, if you do have as an employer, if you do have a lot of jobs or you do want to reach a lot of potential employees, consider the 50 Plus Virtual Expo because it is a great way to get your company out in front of a lot of potential job candidates. So those, I just wanted to go back and mention that. So before I take any questions, I did want to just mention, so JCA is merging with JESA. So more information will be coming out on that in the next few weeks. And as I mentioned, I will be leaving, but I will be handing it over to my ever energetic I just can't say enough about her. She will take great, amazing care of you. She took amazing care of me. Um, Elaine Looney, and she will be the acting director till after the merge, and then they're going to kind of see what happens. But CSEP will continue. CSEP is going to be here. It will be in Elaine's capable hands. It's just the kind of my position will. I don't know where that's going to go after I move on to new opportunities and challenges, and a few vacations in there. So. Um, if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And if you want to scroll down into that's the Career Gateway and the Virtual Expo, they're just great ways to meet other job seekers, or if you have job seekers who maybe don't fit into that CSEP category, definitely refer them over to those. Again, if you're looking for employees, the Virtual Expo is a great way to meet and greet a lot of potential job seekers at one time. And scroll down again. Um, Oop, I didn't delete a slide. Sorry. Scroll down one more time because I took that picture out. Questions? Are there any questions? Oh, one question I do get is if I take a job seeker, am I locked in? And no, you are not. I mean, it would be like an employee or a temp. Um, we ask that you work with them. We will work with you on that. But if you do find that this isn't working out, or you get somebody in there and you realize, you know what, I was thinking this was going to be a lot of phone and it's actually a lot of computer, and this just isn't a good match, or we really need somebody who's bilingual, um, you know, you let us know. You let Elaine know, and she will work with you, because as in the real world, things just sometimes happen. Um, and I'm happy to send out more information in the next day while I'm here, and or forward it on to Elaine. So, and I will put Elaine's information into the chat for you.
Thank you so much, Kathy. I know you shared that you definitely knew you had some attendees on the call. Okay, I see, seeing a testimonial pop up now in the chat. But if there's any of our attendees that wouldn't mind coming off mute briefly and just sharing a little bit about their experience with the program, I think that could be appreciated by others who haven't worked with it before and are considering it.
I'm happy to. Anne Marie,
Yeah.
this is Dana.
Hey, Dana.
Hey,
Hi,
Kathy.
Dana.
Sorry to hear you're leaving. I'll talk to you separately. Anyway,
Yes.
we've had a wonderful experience with CSEP for many years. We don't currently have someone, but we have, in the past, and it's been a really good experience for us. And I think for the participants as well. And I just also want to say the same thing for the volunteer center. We use that to recruit volunteers. I think both of these programs are wonderful opportunities to engage people in our work. So thank you guys.
Thanks, Dana. And Dana has been one of our wonderful host agencies with lots of, and Dana, your program kind of grew with the CSEPR too. So that's a great example of how it started in one role and then it evolved to more of an office manager, an intake. So it really does grow as the participant grows and the job seeker grows.
Kathy, you mentioned a wait list. Is that something that's dependent on funding, or is it dependent on having an appropriate host site match?
It's more, so we do have a wait list. So if someone is interested, or you have a job seeker, or you're interested in being a job seeker, we do have a preliminary application that which you can send you. It's just a one pager because we do have to meet certain criteria. And we do have some priorities of service. If you are a veteran, you go right to the top of the wait list. If you are a homeless or risk of homeless, we definitely prioritize those. Um, and and then after that, yes, there is a bit of a wait list. As it really now, as we're working down the wait list, it's finding a suitable host agency. So, for example, we might have somebody in Clarksburg that doesn't have a car, and the most suitable
Mhm.
host agency is in Tacoma Park. And this does happen. So that person in Clarksburg may take a little longer to place because we just don't have that. We can't match that opportunity. Or Burtonsville is another area where we have a challenge with, we don't have a lot of host agencies. Um, the big three are Silver Spring, Rockville, and Gaithersburg are where a lot of our host agencies are. So
Yeah.
if the participants, depending, again, it depends on their transportation. Our participants are very, we transportation is rarely an issue, but we have to be reasonable. We're just not going to send somebody across county. But we have had participants who've driven 45 minutes to an hour because they wanted that assignment. So it really gets down to a conversation on goals, skills, and what somebody's willing, or takes two buses because they want to do that assignment. So I again, I I want to say I can't. Each person and each host agency comes down to finding that perfect match, and the sooner we can find that match, the sooner we can get them in. But I would say probably if you sent in your preliminary application, you're probably looking at about 6 to 8 weeks ish right now. Um, but it could go sooner. It could go a little longer.
Thanks so much.
Not a problem. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, yeah. Again, Kathy, thank you so much for this information. For anyone that may have joined us late, as usual, we share all slides and contact information from our call presenters, and we do have that updated contact information that Kathy shared. So please do reach out to those contacts if you would like to join these programs and find out how you can serve as a host site. So thanks so
I
much.
appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank
Thanks.
you. I am going to turn things over now to the Center for Critical Infrastructure Security. And we are joined by a few speakers from this organization, one of which, if you were a food assistance provider during COVID, you most certainly probably knew Netta Squires, the executive director at this organization. We're also being joined by Ashley Sturbach Benson and Troy Stairwalt. So I'm going to turn things over, I believe, to Ashley to lead us through and share about this program that is something, to provide a critical service to food assistance providers. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Can I just get a confirmation that my screen is
Yes,
visible?
yes,
Wonderful. Thank you
can
so
see it.
much. Netta, are you on the call?
Yep, I'm right here. So hello everyone. For those of you who I haven't had the pleasure to meet, my name is Netta Squires, as Anne Marie said. I'm the executive director for the Center for Critical Infrastructure. Formerly worked with the state of Maryland, and before that, I had the great pleasure of spending 6 years with Montgomery County Office of Emergency Management and Homeland Security. Several of those through COVID and the Food Security Task Force and all those things. So this community is near and dear to my heart and very personal and something I believe in very greatly. I know how all of so many of you are volunteers and all of you pour your hearts and souls into this work and constantly find that balance as we've heard from previous calls of trying to figure things out with minimal resources and constantly, having community a rise in the demand within the community as well as the inflation and other requirements. So we're very excited today to tell you a little bit about the Center for Critical Infrastructure, what we do, and then how potentially we can work together. And I do, before we just jump into it, I want to say thank you very much to Mana Food Center and to Aman from Redusava, to the Montgomery County Food Council, and to the Office of Food System Resilience for really supporting our application for this grant that made it possible. So really a huge thanks to all of you who actually ended up making this application this grant possible to help you with. I also want to turn it just really quickly for introductions from my wonderful co-presenter today and colleagues. Troy, do you want to go, and then Ashley?
Certainly, it's a pleasure to be with you all today. My name is Troy Stairwalt. I've been actively involved in cybersecurity for over 25 years, almost every position from analyst, engineer, cyber forensics investigator, architect, CISO in financial services, a children's hospital for the state of Wisconsin. I'm an active volunteer with the Wisconsin Emergency Management Cyber Response Team. We handled over 80 cyber attacks last year, 42 of those against K through 12 schools. Growing up, my daughter and I volunteered with Second Harvest, so the work that you do is near and dear to my heart, and it's a pleasure to be here with all of you today.
Hi, I'm Ashley Sturbach Benson. I'm the program manager at CCIS and TLCA, one of our two programs that we're here to talk to you about today. Very excited to talk about this program and potentially give cyber and AI services at no cost to entities potentially on this call. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I am very, very excited to be here and grateful to the Montgomery County Food Council team and others for letting us talk to this group. So without further ado, we can dive right in and tell you more about CCIS, TLCA, and another program we have as well. Okay, so a little bit about CCIS, which stands for the Center for Critical Infrastructure and Security. Our mission is to protect and strengthen critical infrastructure by advancing mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery efforts in partnership with academia, industry, government, and community organizations like those on the call today. We're here primarily to talk to you about the Think Like a CISO Academy program. We also have another program being stood up, so I just wanted to make this audience aware of that as well, which is called the State Civilian Cyber Corps Initiative, which is a network of volunteers across the country providing cyber and AI services through a volunteer network. But for today's call, the purpose is Think Like a CISO Academy, which is a virtual cyber and AI clinic. It is put on and funded right now through Cyber Maryland. It is a Maryland Department of Labor Workforce Development program. So there are multiple parts to this program. There are our learners, which we call the volunteer clinicians, who are emerging cyber and AI professionals who have, some baseline education, some certification, but they're lacking that hands-on experience that a lot of cyber and AI entities are looking for. That hands-on experience is what is lacking, and what this program, Think Like a CISO Academy, solves. It provides hands-on experience to critical infrastructure organizations or small community organizations or small nonprofit organizations, where our learners are volunteer clinicians under a credentialed instructor who is an expert, either a CISO or, again, a credentialed instructor, facilitating them as they go through this. It's a 12-week program for the volunteer clinicians, but for clients, those organizations like food pantries receiving our services, it is an 8-week program. The first 4 weeks of the program is a learning for the learners. The last 8 weeks is when our clinic teams work with the entities like food pantries, nonprofits, other critical infrastructure organizations. So I know I'm throwing a lot at you, and feel free to ask questions throughout this presentation or at the end. But essentially, at a high level, the Think Like a CISO Academy is a virtual and AI cyber security clinic workforce development program that delivers free cybersecurity and AI support to small critical infrastructure organizations while training the next generation of cyber professionals. So it's really taking a holistic approach, which I think is really amazing. Netta or Troy, did I miss anything? Would you like to add anything?
I think you
I think from
captured it.
a, go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. Then I will be turning it over to Troy to kind of give a background about the challenge a little bit more. Troy, over to you.
The challenge is that usually when I come in and I start talking about the current state of cybersecurity, people will ask me if I have any good news, and there is good news. It doesn't have to be scary. Most people lead with the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. I've been doing this for a long time. Without a doubt, if you have internet-facing equipment, if you rely on third-party services, they're going to be reconned by nation-state actors and cyber criminals alike. And there's no target too big or too small these days. They are crimes of opportunity. And I've responded to cyber attacks against critical infrastructure, huge financial services organizations, and a church. I helped respond to that, and a grandmother who just wanted her family photos back, and they were extorting her for $50 to get her family photos. Uh, so I share that when you look at this, it's no longer I'm not a target. If you have anything that is internet enabled, and a lot of the IoT devices, give them a path in. There's a chance that you could be hit. Community healthcare clinics, we thought for a long time that financial services is where they would hit because that's where all the money is. There's no morals or ethics in the cyber criminals line of thought. If and in addition to being a practitioner, I teach. I'm a university professor, and I encourage all my students, and please, all of you, if there's something that interests you, reach out, ask for more information, or do your own research, and please fact check me. I think that there's more of that needed these days. But Eastern Tennessee Children's Hospital got hit with a massive ransomware attack. What happens when a hospital gets hit? Lurie's Children's Hospital last year in Chicago was down for 3 months. What happens in those cases is that doctors don't know who got what medication last, what the treatment plans are. The nurses and doctors that try to care for us simply don't scale when they don't have access to electronic health records. The bottom line is that the quality of care plummets, mortality rates rise, and it's going to be ongoing because there's a sense of urgency to pay that. Food banks and food assistance. I was shocked when I was preparing for this meeting that there was 265 ransomware attacks last year that were documented, and usually about only half are reported against the food and agricultural sector. What I see so far in 2026 is that those are going up because geopolitics are driving attacks against entities to make a particular um, political statement or to impact civilian populations. When I look at the work that this group does, you're providing food and sustenance to some of the most vulnerable in our society. I would ask you all, uh, ask the question, could you provide the services without your computerized third parties, without internet access for a couple days, for a week? What if you had to for a month? What is your business continuity plan? And what I mean that is that how would you provide services to those most vulnerable if you couldn't access your computing resources? And the reason I share that is that I sent out a link here. This isn't scare tactics. This isn't anything other than what I know to be fact. Is that CISA put out warning 2 days ago, and last week there was a lot of coverage on it, but most people kind of gloss over it because I think we're kind of callous to cyber attacks these days. That critical infrastructure could be down for weeks or months. Um, there's increased targets. When I look at the next section, small water and utility systems, I know of at least 6 water wastewater facilities that have been compromised. And they were nation state actors. Iranian nation state actors targeted them because they were Israeli made PLC, programmable logic. Um, and that was Texas, Indiana, New Jersey. Please don't take my word on it. General Hawk, who retired, he was the head of the U.S. Cyber Command. He was on 60 Minutes a few months ago, and there was a small municipality in Connecticut that was compromised. Going through as the state CISO, I went through training with the Secret Service and the FBI in preparation for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Um, I collaborated with Bruce Coffey, the CISO for the city of Chicago, for the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, and then the election that year. And what I know is that our critical infrastructure, they don't have to take down everything, but if they can impact water and wastewater facilities, they could poison civilian populations. Or if the water stops flowing, um, they can't cool data centers or power plants. It's just a matter of time. If the power goes out, water stops flowing in most municipalities over 3,000 in about 3.5 to 4 hours, which is why I have a bunch of bad dad jokes, because if I leave people with those thoughts, I don't get invited back to the parties very regularly. So neighborhood nonprofits, when I look at this, is that um, they usually are the most vulnerable because they don't have the skilled resources. They don't have the people that know how to do this. And good cyber hygiene practices don't have to cost a lot. It's knowing what to do the right thing consistently. And we can prevent over 90% of the attacks that are occurring out there because they're crimes of opportunity. Think like a CISO Academy is just such an opportunity. We're bringing some people who've got a lot of depth and breadth of expertise that are willing to spend their time to help others learn how to do this. Um, I've got to a point where I'm looking at more altruistic endeavors in my life, and this is one that I'm very passionate about. And if we could help the food banks and the organizations on this call prevent an outage or recover from it, or look at your incident response plan and how would you continue to provide those valuable services to those most in need? Uh, to me, that would be a very rewarding way to use the skills and experiences that I've acquired over 25 years. And I'll leave it at that on this one. Any questions? Because just like Ashley, I threw a lot out there. And if there's something that I know that will be of value to you, if I can provide clarity on anything that I stated, please ask.
Thank you so much, Troy. I can't see if there's any hands raised, so please someone jump off mute if you have a hand raised. If not, I can proceed on.
Please do, because one of the benefits from this is that it's an 8-week course. If you have somebody who's a representative that works with you that's interested in it, I know that my significantly better half, and I call her that because she's better educated, more intelligent, more articulate, and much better looking than me. I hope that she doesn't figure it out anytime soon. Um, is that her first security officer for the Department of Natural Resources was the bat biologist for the state. Wonderful man who looked at it and said, no one's stepping up to fill this role. I've got an interest in it, and I think it's an important one. Where do I get knowledge? Um, Dana, I think that Ashley could help you with this for apply. I think you just have to let them know that you're interested. And we're putting together the 8 weeks supervised engagement. We're going to bring experts there. No cost to you. This is funded from grants. We can go through, we can help you with policies, we can help you with best practices, assessing current state, making recommendations where they're audit, and with the civilian cyber court, actually align resources to help provide some reasonable and cost-effective protection. And there are other grants that are available based on the nature of the services that you provide that we can help put you in touch with. So it's more than just applying. That's the first step there. We'll get matched up. The kickoff and the memorandum of understanding, 8-week engagement, 1 hourly meeting. So we make it where it's not a huge time constraint on the representative for that one. And then we'll give updates. Tomorrow I'm on a panel in Chicago on a chief AI officers. So I'm also very interested in how do we do secure by design up front on that one. So if you're interested in that, we'll be having part of that in this Think Like a CISO Academy as well. Any other questions or comments on this particular slide? So Ashley, go on to the meat of it.
Yes, thank you, Troy. So these are
Oh,
some
go ahead.
deliverables that entities might receive. Troy, are you taking this slide or do you want me to take it?
Nope, I've got this one, Ashley, and what I could offer is that During the pandemic, Stephen, you're exactly right. What I found, I was working for an insurance company at the time, and we had commercial insurance. And what you found was that small businesses, medium and small businesses that didn't have cybersecurity insurance, most of them closed their doors within 6 months of a cyber attack. Over 80% of them did. I would ask how many entities on this call have got cybersecurity insurance. It's pretty costly, and you have to have minimum standards of cyber hygiene just to apply for that. And where would you turn to restore services? How would that impact what you do here? And this is some of the things that we're going to cover in the Think Like a CISO Academy. So the incident response plan, what do you do when that happens? Because it's going to. You don't have to be afraid of it. There's professionals like myself that have been dealing with this for over 25 years. We've been there, done that, and can help accelerate that so that you don't have those moments. Working in emergency management, we have no choice in the challenges that life presents us or when, but knowing how to respond to an earthquake, a power outage, a water issue, or a cyber attack, preparation is the first step there. So going through your incident response plan, what do you do? How do you continue operations? Who do you reach out to for help? Risk security posture review. Nobody really likes an assessment because that means that there's a bunch of work that you have to do that's not funded. But coming in and looking at this, the NIST cybersecurity framework, the CIS controls, IG1 is the very basic. It's cyber hygiene. It's proper configuration. There's some good, as my grandmother always told me, neither common sense nor common courtesy were all that common. I try never to be that person. But when I look at it, how do we help you get a solid foundation? And what are some really cost-effective controls that can be put in place to help protect your organizations and your operations? The data privacy and recovery guidance. One of the things that I'll go off script here a little bit, Ashley, and I'm just speaking from the head and the heart. So um, is that with 42 schools, K through 12, that were compromised last year, the taxpayers are picking up the bill for that. What happens in those schools is that they gut extracurricular activities, music, choir, art classes, sports teams are decimated because there's no budget for that. And then the students have to freeze their credit because all their PII, their personally identifiable information, is out there through no fault of their own. And the cyber criminals use their information to open up bank accounts to launder cryptocurrency from ransomware attacks. Some of them go out to get credit for the first time and find that their credit's ruined and they did nothing to it. Same way in the hospitals. So I bring that up. What type of information do you have that you store that may be vulnerable or valuable to you? Could you regain out operation, and would there be undue damage to the organization or the individuals if that data was compromised? Because what you find now is that these cyber criminals in particular do what's called double extortion. They encrypt your data so that you can't operate, but before they do that, they steal a lot of the information. And then when you pay the first ransom, they hit you with the second one and say, by the way, now that you've restored services, if you wanted to prevent us from dumping all of your data on the dark web where you have a data breach notification situation, pay us again. Um, what I would offer is that I don't know a lot of small, medium businesses or nonprofits that have those kind of financial resources. It not only impacts the ability to provide those services, but to remain operational if you get hit and have to incur those costs on your own. Reach out for help. That's why we're starting the program, and you're going to find people much more capable than me that can be able to assist you, but I'm happy to help in any way that I can. The AI governance and policy support. What I can tell you is that policies alone really don't prevent anything. Policies are a statement of leadership or management's intent. You have to have some kind of technical controls in place to make your organizations more resilient. And as we go forward, the term secure by design was first coined in 1972. And I think we have a huge opportunity, and we're missing it with AI to leverage that capability to build secure systems by design up front. But we know that our critical infrastructure is vulnerable. Our nonprofits, those those that you serve, um, the organization that they rely on are some of the most vulnerable to cyber attacks. And when they're hit, they're going to be the most impacted. So as I look at this, is that if we could leverage AI to, I'll prevent myself from going on the soapbox, but we have the chance to do it right. And as we're building new power plants, new data centers, I wish we would keep that in mind. So if you feel that your organization could use some improvement, and all of them can, this is an opportunity to send a representative, get some good training that's already covered, and then let's talk about how do we bring the resources that are available to bear to help you.
Thank you,
Any
Troy.
questions? Or
I
go
see
ahead, Deb.
Kathy has a, no, thank you. I see Kathy has her hand raised. I want to make sure we can get to.
No, I just wanted to share. I was with a small business and we had staffing and somebody came in through the back through the passwords of the clients and they took the computer system down. Well, one, it started to run really slow because they were putting in worms to pull the data. And then they took the whole thing down and it was down for weeks. And when you're staffing, there goes your bread and butter. Um, and they were so then they crashed it. And then we brought it back up. Like it took a while to bring it back up, brought it back up, and then they crashed it again. And then and then and then it just kept going on. So, and then it gets expensive because you have to bring in a data forensics and I mean, and it did eventually take down the business, and with I think it was 8 months, but you can't. Yeah, it's and if and it wasn't the business; it was the people who were using it were the so yeah, you got to take it serious, unfortunately. And that was a few years ago, and I'm sure everybody's way more sophisticated now.
Well,
Exactly.
Kathy, thank you for sharing that. When I was listening to your presentation, I was like, we have to follow her. Uh,
Well,
uh,
if we have a CSEPer that can do some cybersecurity, because
There
every
you
once
go.
in a while we do, I'm going to send them your way now. Because you're a
Please do.
501c3. If you're getting grants, you're a 501c3, right?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
yes.
I
Um,
they get
Okay.
$16 an hour, but hey, it might be perfect for everybody involved.
there you go.
The, the,
Um,
the, Go ahead, Netta. What I was going to share on that one is that her example is not rare. It's more and more of that. And what you'll find is that the cyber criminals in particular will sit and do recon and find out where you're making your backups. Usually they'll blow away the backups, they'll steal your data, and they'll encrypt it. So now you can't operate. You have no legitimate backups to recover from, and then they try to hit you with double extortion. Some of these criminals are so arrogant that I was helping negotiate a ransomware payment, and they gave the victim a 50% off coupon because, as Kathy was saying, they had persistence. So they tried to restore the services and they hadn't gotten them out of the infrastructure, and they hit them a second time.
Um, yeah, I second Troy to appreciate sharing those comments. I think real world examples and within our own communities are really a way to realize why this matters. And I'll say that when I, approached both Montgomery County Food Council and OFSR, they asked me the best question, which I had to go back and sort of, it was like it was so obvious to me, but then I realized that it's not necessarily always obvious. And they're like, well, why should they care, right? Like these are small organizations, them. And I think it's really important question because, you have volunteers, right? So many of you rely on volunteers. You have volunteer information, which can be considered personal information. You have donors, hopefully, right? Or grants. And so you have financial information. You have your client information potentially, or organization that you've referred them to. Or some of you may also be doing things, with mental health or physical health. So I think even without, realizing because you're always trying to make it work, you hold so much information that is very sensitive. And beyond the privacy concerns, that availability that Troy was talking about before, if it's gone, can you do your job? Can you deliver? I think that I know resonates deeply with everyone on this call because I know how hard you all work all the time to make sure that your services are up and running. So I know we're running up against time. So I'm going to try to run through just the next couple of slides here, but I think the question is your organization a fit? I would just say yes. We can just skip the slide. If you are on this call, yes, your organization is a fit. I think our goal is really to try and support what we can. We recognize that we can't do everything. We know that there's going to be a lot more that we can't provide, but at least two things. One is we can do what we can do and put you in a better position than where you were before. With advisory services, with giving you actual documentation for planning, for helping you run an exercise, for making your information put in a better secure environment, for making sure you have recovery practices that are better. So, and what Troy said before, we can also help refer you to other organizations and frankly, what I've seen in the state of Maryland and what works, and I actually with Montgomery County as well, is once we're there and we have the opportunity to see what's important to you, which is part of this process, we can also take it back to the state and say, we really need to be focusing on all these things as well, and can go back and know to ask for the right things. So at the end of the day, I think we would really love if you're interested to sign up. If you want to get more information, you can get information from our website. I just put the link in the chat, but I think this is an opportunity that's kind of a win-win all around. It's state grant funded. You can be the recipients. All we ask is the hourly commitment once a week for 8 hours for the duration of the clinic. And we really hope that you can that you reach out and that you try to sign up, or alternatively, if you know another organization as well who you're familiar with, who you think can benefit from it, please feel free to refer them to us as well. So sorry, Anne Marie, I know we're right
That's
past time,
okay.
but thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
having me.
much. Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm just going to ask if anyone has any questions. Feel free to keep putting them in the chat. Netta and her team can answer them in the chat. But in the last few minutes that we have left, I know Catherine from OFSR has joined us, and she had a few announcements to share. So I just wanted to make sure those had time to get out there as well. But thank you to all of our speakers today. And Catherine, if you want to take over, please do.
Thanks, Anne-Marie, and thanks to all the speakers today. I'm sure it will be very helpful to have this information available to our partners. I just wanted to give a quick update from the OFSR. We shared recently through the Food Council some new compliance guidelines, grant compliance guidelines that are also available on the Food Council's website, I believe, and our website, the OFSR's website. So for those of you that are receiving funds through the Office of Food Systems Resilience for any of our grant programs, definitely check out those compliance guidelines. Shouldn't be anything new or scary, but just wanted to create visibility and transparency around those. Secondly, I'll note that we sent out a notice last week about a new email account that we're using for administrative procedures, ofsr.admin@montgomerycountymd.gov. So if you are submitting invoices to us for grant payment, please be sure to copy that email address. You can also, of course, always direct it to myself or my colleague Kira, who I think all of you are familiar with, but if you could please copy the OFSR admin inbox, that helps us make sure that we are not losing track of anything. A few other quick things I'll run through. We closed our food aggregation grant program and gardening grant program for applications last week. So those are now with review panels, and we will make decisions within the next couple of weeks. Our FY26 Food as Medicine grant program, we will be sending out notification letters to applicants this week regarding the status of their applications. So that is on its way. And then our FY26 Nutrition Benefits Outreach grantees, we're working on renewals there for those FY25 agreements. So those grantees know who they are. And we'll be doing the same for our school-based food assistance grant program, renewing the FY26 agreements for FY27. So If that doesn't mean anything to you, it's probably not a program that you're currently involved in. So feel free to ignore that. Otherwise, just we'll flag that we continue to have community connection times available. You can sign up through our website to book a 15-minute time to connect with a member of the OFSR team for any questions, concerns, technical assistance needs you may have. And we are excited to hopefully share more about the county's FY27 approved operating budget in the next couple of weeks once that passes through county council and how that will affect our budget going forward. I'll keep it at that.
Thanks, Catherine. So once again, thank you to all of today's speakers. And again, we will be following up with slides and with contact information for all of these programs. And then last but not least, if you are an OFSR grantee, you will be getting more information about other happenings and trainings taking place this month through our partner support update. So thank you all for everyone joining us. We will have a call in June, and we will share the registration link for that in the follow-up notes as well. And look forward to seeing you there and then. Take care, everyone.